Yo, what's going on, people? Today we're going to be talking about all the platforms that you need to know and understand in order to scale any brand, really, whether that be service based, whether that be product based, whether that be dropshipping, whatever. I want to get into everything and brain dump as much as I can over all the platforms. Specific to e-commerce, but also service businesses. You run ads on all these platforms, right? You got to understand them and their quirks and pros and cons, right? This is something that students have been asking for a bit, so I will do my best to brain dump everything that I know about every platform because we run ads on every single platform and we've scaled on every single platform as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Let's get started. All platforms have their own quirks, pros, and cons, right? You need to understand what will work for your product, your brand, and your end goal, right? Understanding what works and what doesn't on each platform and how to actually use these platforms at different stages of your business will unlock revenue and consistent revenue, right? Maybe Google is not something that your product can run on without Meta. Maybe your product is meant for TikTok. Maybe your product is meant for Meta. Maybe you need to involve all your channels. Maybe it's already too saturated on Amazon. How do you know all this? Like, you got to understand the platforms first and respect the platforms, right? Like, you can't just blame them for not working. You're doing something wrong. You're doing some wrong positioning there, right? But understanding when to use these platforms at different stages of your business will unlock revenue, right? And here's one thing that I want to start off this entire section with is that we have spoken to the CEO of Coldest, who was on Shark Tank. He comes on our live all the time. He also invited us to his warehouse in Florida, and we get just so much info out of this guy. Solid guy, right? And he told us that he aims to have 7 to 8 touch points daily per customer to secure a sale. The touch points being, different sales channels. And he understands the difference between each and how to market on each, right? Whether it be Google, Meta, TikTok, Pinterest, emails, he is trying his best to get their attention every single day, at least 7 to 8 times. You got to stay on top of mind. That is what these massive platforms give you. Respect them and love them. It's easy to hate on these platforms and be like, oh, addiction and this and that. Yes, sure, that's all real. You as a business person, you need to fall in love with them. Understand the power of scale. That's what I tell all of my students. Here's a quick little graphic that I got off Google Images, but choosing the right social media platform, it matters a lot, right? Obviously, these are, maybe a couple years old, but the data still is to scale, right? So you can see here Facebook, massive and the king, right? Then you can see YouTube, right? Also massive, right? But however, I don't see many people using YouTube, right? TikTok, although it is lower than, LinkedIn, TikTok is a killer. Like, I know people that make 20K a day off TikTok. It's about engagement. Like, there's a lot of pros and cons. Although this has more viewers, this is more engaging to the eye and to the customer psychology, where they're more impulsive to buy. So that's why, it's just amazing for, community building and to make sales. So is Facebook. YouTube is really good for awareness. And because I've been in the game for so long and I've seen so many stories in different brands, I'm able to kind of brain dump that, right? Like, just by going off the numbers, you might think, oh, YouTube is definitely the second place to go to make sales. But no, that's not how it works, right? It is really good for building trust and building community. And so is TikTok. But sales-wise, TikTok and Facebook, and even some Google campaigns that we'll talk about, do a really good job. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's get to the first section, and it's all about understanding cold traffic. So I want to make sure that you guys understand the concept of cold and warm traffic before we get to the actual platforms. But for an example, essentially, Meta and TikTok are both cold traffic kings. That means that you are attracting cold audiences. Cold audiences are people that are unaware of a service or product, and you are educating or driving awareness to them to get them to purchase, right? These guys they don't want to be on the platform looking at your ads, but it's your job to bring them into your funnel. That means a cold lead, essentially, right? They're unaware of you, your product, your brand, and Meta and TikTok are great for that. Obviously, in Meta and TikTok, you are able to warm them up with more and more ads, but they're known as cold traffic platforms because the platform by design is a social media platform. It's not a shopping platform. It's not like Amazon, which is like the king of warm traffic. When they're more warmed up, that means that they're going to the platform and searching up, I want to buy a light, or I want to buy a towel. They are warmed up to the concept of the product, and that's why they're going to the platform to buy it. Hopefully that makes sense, right? And yeah, people don't go to Meta and TikTok to buy. They go to their scroll. They go there to scroll, and they look at pictures and memes, right? They're not warmed up to your product or your brand, and that's why it's a cold traffic platform. Now, of course, massive brands spend like millions on advertising monthly, and with that, they get more and more warmed up to make a purchase. But in theory, or like in structure, they are cold traffic platforms, right? And that's why I always suggest to students that they should start with Meta and TikTok, because here is where you perfect your marketing, right? If you're able to hijack the minds of people as they're scrolling, and you are able to stop them from scrolling and purchase your product, it means your ad is so effective that it evokes enough emotion in them to purchase on a cold traffic platform. If you are able to master this, right? It is hard. It is hard to get them to purchase off a cold traffic platform, but the rest of the platforms will be easy for you because you've already mastered cold traffic, right? And this is a superpower. It is a superpower. You are literally stopping the scroll. That means your creative, whether it be the call out, whether it be the structure, the hook, the hold of your creative, is that good. So always try and master cold traffic first. When people ask me, oh, Meta or TikTok, right? I'm like, hey, try and master both. They obviously have their pros and cons, and we'll dig into that. But like understanding that the cold kind of like understanding that what a cold platform does and how you can best use it is super important, right? Now, we'll start off with the king of like all social media and ads and where everyone scales, Meta ads, right? It's the largest social media platform in the world. Most consumers live on that platform. And an older audience base with disposable income is always scrolling on Meta. Mostly Facebook, but Instagram as well. Instagram is more sophisticated. Like, I'll tell you guys one thing when it comes to like audience sophistication and like just smartness, I would say, right? The best quality leads that you get, well, number one, are off YouTube, then Instagram, then TikTok, right? Like, you're seeing already, like when TikTok, it's like very quick content, not that much, attention needed, not that much investment, right? And it varies from YouTube to Instagram to TikTok. So even when you're running ads, right? Yes, YouTube is the top, but it's really good for building warmth and validation. But Meta is that sweet balance between, an impulse purchase, but also building trust, right? People trust that verified check on Meta, right? So keep all of that stuff in mind, right? Now, quick little, this is from 2023, but still stands, right? The total reach of ads on Facebook, like almost 2 billion. It's insanity, right? Like it's crazy. And women as well, right? Like it just like there's just so much to target on Meta. You can see here the reach is just crazy. So you need to understand and respect that essentially, right? But people on Meta now are very sophisticated. Everyone knows about dropshipping. So I gave you like, a big numbers here, but there are cons to this platform that you got to think about, right? People on Meta are super sophisticated. Everyone knows about dropshipping, so it becomes hard to market. It's not like 2020 where everyone was buying everything just because it was online. Well, obviously COVID happened, but also if you made an online store and just like advertised, people are like, oh wow, I want to just buy online. This is so cool, right? And then obviously they would get dropshipped, they would be unhappy, and the market has become super sophisticated, especially for older people, right? So you have to really focus on the branding and look and deeper analysis on ads to really cut through the noise, right? Everyone is now doing e-commerce, right? And if you don't have the right branding, if you don't have the right callouts, if you are unable to really capture that attention and stop the scroll, well, Meta will be hard because of the sophistication. And if you guys are interested in sophistication, I made a module on that above in the customer psychology section. Go check that out, right? And massive brands are now all advertising on Meta. They're making creatives for every format, every angle, and they have massive teams to take over every market and position in every way. So it is actually very hard to make any noise on Meta because these guys are spending $1 million. And remember the auction, the video I have on, I think it was Product Hunting, where I talk about the auction system. The more you spend on Meta, the more they trust you and the more aggressive claims you can make, and they win the game, right? They have taken over that auction with that format. So you're always looking for gaps, and it's hard to find gaps on Meta is what I'm saying, right? And that makes it harder to crack, like I said. And you need to ensure you're finding an untapped product, untapped market, untapped angles, untapped desires, and the more unsaturated and newer things you can find, the better. The newer mechanisms, the newer products that nobody is running, maybe just got viral off another platform a couple weeks ago, that is what makes it easy for you to scale. But obviously, with the right marketing, you can make any product work, right? And this makes Meta the hardest to crack, right? But it does have the best returns if you do. I also noticed Meta is really good for items around $100 to $200, higher AOV, lower impulse purchases where people value branding. And the item should actually be helpful and provide some value to your customer, right? Again, they're more sophisticated on Meta. So you can't just sell some stupid, I don't know, like, those trendy products, POV, this changed my life, or something stupid. You need to have some quality to your product if you actually want to scale on Meta. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, next up, TikTok ads. Right? Now, this is super cool. Look at this kind of cool visual I found. Although Instagram has a massive audience size compared to TikTok, look at the volume and the engagement. TikTok, like the engagement is just insane. That makes it a really, really powerful platform, especially for impulse. So I find that lower AOV, like lower priced items, and high impulse purchases work really well here. Something that's impulsive, right? That stuff prints. Like if those really cool, those retro cameras or those retro gaming devices, which I sold, TikTok is just perfect for that, where people are like, I need this now. And they don't even think about it, they make a purchase, right? And the creatives don't need to be insane quality, right? Like POV style hooks are fine as long as they appeal to the customer via research. Again, that's a younger user base. Meta has the more sophisticated audience, right? And I find lower AV, like I mentioned, this is kind of a repeat here, but you will reach a cap really quickly on TikTok, though. Because of the high activity volume and engagement, creators will fatigue really, really quick. And so it is like made to be a short form platform, and audiences are usually younger. So think about all of this stuff when you're choosing your product. Like, hey, can it be marketed on TikTok? Does it fit in this AOV? And is it more of an impulsive buy, right? Even if it is not an impulsive buy, can I advertise it to force those impulse buyers to buy? Right? Can I write some trend? Those are the questions you should be asking when you're on TikTok. You can find a product that is like very high value, but you need to market it to like this type of audience that wants to buy impulsively. So you can't you can try to do those very educational top of funnel type ads, but maybe you just need a very viral kind of like hook to really get sales, right? There's more to this that I'll dig into when you get to the TikTok shop section, but hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, Google is massive. A lot to talk about here, but Google Ads is just a massive ecosystem of products. These guys have been in the game since forever. So Gmail, YouTube, Google search, like you can get your ads on honestly any website ever, like those banners that pop up right on the side, like the reach there is just crazy. And we have teams that handle this for us, and I'll tell you why. Google requires a lot of data and experience to act on, right? Our teams use tools to understand search volume, find keywords that are in demand but unsaturated. They also use other brand data, like they're an agency, so they have other brands that they work with. They have to see what's working in other accounts and apply to ours as well, right? So that type of care is needed, right? You can get started on Google with some PMax and shopping campaigns, and PMax makes it easy to throw all your assets into one campaign and throw it across the Google ecosystem. Like it's there for that. It's like GMV Max, if you guys are familiar with that, but it's harder to set up. Like there's a lot of monitoring that you need to do essentially, right? And Google is great for warm traffic and also cold traffic. Like it's underrated how good it is for cold traffic, but it is a warm traffic like platform essentially. I'll get more into that, but in terms of warm traffic, when people see an ad on TikTok or Meta, they go to Google and search up the brand name or product name, and if you are able to like have that Google ad ready, well, they're gonna click on your link and then convert. So you're taking up more real estate with those like kind of like they have like layers to their kind of like Google search where they're like, oh, buy this item, bestsellers, collections, like that type of layering on the web browser essentially is what Google Ads help you do, like secure those sales, right? So it's a funnel. So it secures a sale from cold traffic, which is Meta or TikTok ads, and then when they go to Google, they're warmed up to your platform or product or service already, right? And you can use Google to get some cold traffic. You have campaigns like DSA, which serves your product on images and banners of different websites. You can have Gmail ads. I don't see much of this, but you can have that. But shopping ads, really powerful. Like one of our brands scales specifically on shopping ads. And honestly, everywhere in Google, the ecosystem is so vast, right? And a simple PMax campaign, if you guys are looking to get started, it should be enough with that, right? And you can see here search ads, display ads, shopping ads, video ads. It's just so much that these guys have, right? And YouTube is something I want to talk about as well. YouTube would be like the video ads, right? It's massive, like I mentioned, but the audience there, you have to understand that it's hard to convert. I'll give you guys a story from one of the people we were consulting. Essentially, they had a massive YouTube presence, but YouTube's ROAS just wasn't killing it, right? But they were killing it on like the other kind of like Google ecosystem, like shopping and like, search. Like people would be searching for them. They had a high ROAS there, right? The guy was like, dude, why am I even wasting money on YouTube ads? He closed his YouTube ads and his entire account tanked. YouTube was warming up the audiences so much to make those heavier purchases. So you sometimes need to have that intuition to be able to understand what works and what doesn't, right? So you need a specific quality of ads to be able to advertise on YouTube and for it to work, right? Like there is a quality there. It's not like those, POV style hooks that UGC content. Maybe it is, but I haven't seen that, right? And we've noticed that YouTube ads are great for awareness and warming up audiences to make a purchase through the shopping tab or Google search, like I said, right? And it's just really good for that community building, right? Like people on YouTube, even when they go to watch those, 4-hour tutorials, 10-hour tutorials, like you're building so much trust where they will go to your coaching or whatever, right? That is what you should think about ads as well. If somebody sees your ad on YouTube, they're like, oh, this guy's legit. Like, let me buy this and search them up on Meta or Instagram or something, right? And there's so much bleed of traffic, as you can see, right? And you can see the importance of attribution as well. It's important to get something like Triple Whale so you can see the attribution and contribution of each channel, whether that be YouTube, Meta, TikTok. There's bleed. People see it on Google, YouTube, they search it up on Instagram or vice versa. You got to think about that, right? And at a product level, right? Like Google as a product, right? When people come to Google, they want to buy evergreen basic stuff usually, right? So selling boring products on Google is a very well-known strategy. If you can find something evergreen like a towel, like everyone needs a towel, right? Like in every home, and you create a well-looking, branded towel store, and you run Google ads, when people search up for towels, you can be the premium option and secure some sales. We've done that, and it works really well, right? Your biggest lever for Google then becomes your landing pages, right? You are driving traffic to your landing pages. There's no ad, there's no creative. You have to make sure your landing page is killer. Your branding matters, your images on the site matter, and like think about it like this: your site, your images, your testimonials, your offer, that's considered your creative, right? You're convincing them to buy through that beautiful landing page, right? And CVRs are usually high for Google as it is a warm traffic platform. Remember, it's because people are going to buy when they're going on Google, or they're going to learn something about the product, right? If I see a cool little sweater, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it has like a cool hoodie, and I search it up on Google, well, I'm warmed up to that, right? Wherever it may be from, it is a warm traffic platform. Or maybe a friend talks to me about it, like, hey, have you heard about these cool little, hoodies, right? Then then I go to Google and I search it up, and I'm like, oh, like that's what it is. That's called warm. Like I'm warmed up to the concept of that, right? Hopefully that makes sense. But here's one thing that is exciting and nobody talks about, and we want to really dig into the coaching here because I know like it's underrated, it's insane, right? But Axon is a platform not many people talk about. It's very untapped, very underrated, right? It's a massive system that tracks all mobile games. And mobile games, if you guys know, it's an industry where people spend uncontrollably on in-app purchases called IAP. Whenever you play Candy Crush or whatever, there's like you can buy coins, you can buy gems, you can buy whatever, Clash of Clans, you're buying gems, right? Those games generate so much revenue off these people that are warmed up to buy. Essentially, they have credit card in their hands, they're addicted to these games, right? And a large women of audiences live on these mobile games. And if you have a supplement or some item that attracts women, well, you can make a lot of money off Axon. You've seen the mobile game ads, you've seen this stuff when you're playing these games, an ad pops up, they have to watch the ad to make some more gems, and maybe they like your ad and they buy off you, right? And it's very easy to set up. And if you are still in the mentorship, DM us, we'll plug you with our private keys. But the channel isn't obviously only good for women, right? Lots of men play video games as well in mobile games. Women are just heavier spenders, right? And especially those that have time to play video games, well, they have a lot of disposable income. It's a really neat, niche algorithm as well. It's very easy to set up. So Axon is known for that, mobile game ads. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Now Amazon is a whole other kind of planet, whole other world, and it's the original e-commerce machine, right? It's an extremely competitive space. Factories in China now list their products on Amazon, undercut the competition, and make it very hard to enter, right? So it is hard to dropship off Amazon. I will tell you the process that many brands do. What they essentially do is they don't come to Amazon right off the bat. When they are dropshipping, they build their brand identity off Amazon so that even if a Chinese competitor rips them off, well, you have that brand trust built essentially, right? So you build, you use Meta, use TikTok, use Google, grow your brand to a specific scale, right? And say you have become very profitable, it's time to then introduce to Amazon, right? Because what we've seen is in accounts that introduce Amazon later down the line, they unlock 30% of their revenue from Amazon. And they also notice a rise in Shopify sales as well because you're stealing credibility from Amazon. If you're on Amazon, you know that a customer will trust you because you're on Amazon, there's authentic reviews there. So we notice that Shopify sales rise and Amazon sales also rise, but Amazon is a volume game. Amazon takes a heavy margin. So you need to have that heavy revenue coming in from another source, and you need to have your back-end processes and fulfillment all figured out if you are going to be on Amazon, right? So yeah, like I said, Amazon takes a heavy cut from each sale. So you think about Amazon fees, ad spend, then these Chinese competitors undercutting you. So it doesn't make sense to jump into it right away. We do know someone that had their own custom hamster home or something like that, and that is not drop shipped. They actually manufacture that, and then they can go on Amazon, right? So unless you have a massive brand running on Shopify, Meta, TikTok, Google, whatever, it doesn't make sense to get on Amazon, especially if you are drop shipping, because some Chinese factory is already on Amazon selling it for cheaper. You could get lucky. I've seen people get lucky, but again, we're just giving you our brain dump. If you have a unique patented product, then yes, Amazon is great, like the hamster cage, like I mentioned, right? Because you have created that, and you may have to deal with other people ripping you off if you are making sales, but at least the product and patent is yours, and you can report them to Amazon. So it's important that you think about this, right? Hey, is my product that unique, right? Maybe you can, if you get early to a market, you can make money off Amazon, but then you have to worry about back-end processes, right? And now when it comes at a deeper level, right? I want you to understand Amazon as a massive warm sales search engine. So Google is warmed up, like I mentioned. It's a warm sales channel, meaning that people search up products on Google, but there's still a layer, a disconnect there with Google, right? Where a person might search up info just for curiosity. Maybe they read some blog posts about something. It's not there to buy. Amazon is there. If you're on Amazon, you are looking to buy. You want to buy something. So search terms are way super powerful there. Obviously, if you have Google set up, well, you could still use that knowledge into Amazon and try and rank for those. But if you're on Amazon, and you want to work with our teams, obviously let us know. I can connect you with one of our guys. But it's a great place to do competitor analysis, essentially, right? Like you can see the saturation levels. You could see if a product, especially for dropshipping, if it's on Amazon, and if it's too saturated to sell, well, maybe it's not worth doing. Because most times, like I mentioned, the Chinese factory is making heavy volume off Amazon. People trust Amazon, so it might be hard for you to cut through the noise, right? And if saturation levels on Amazon are low, you can give it a shot by running creatives and capturing the market. Like people usually go to Amazon first. If there isn't many reviews or saturation on Amazon, well, they are more likely to buy from you, right? Because your ad, I'm assuming, is amazing. Your site is, I'm assuming, amazing, especially if you're working with us, right? But hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, like I mentioned, Amazon is a later game play. Brands that are already validated on Shopify, Meta, Google, they come to Amazon and capture that market. If you're on Amazon, you build credibility, and we notice that Shopify sales go up because being on Amazon is a strong, it's a testimonial lever, right? And 30% of brand revenue is unlocked from Amazon for larger brands. Hopefully that makes sense. And next up is TikTok Shop. Very, very cool and newer kind of platform. So it's a newer e-commerce platform similar to Amazon in the sense that it is a warm sales engine, but it's based on creatives. Like if you go to Amazon, you're getting reeled in, right? By like searching for items. You're like searching for different niches, products, whatever. And on TikTok Shop though, you are lured in by creatives, content, and influencers. So it is literally the same thing as Amazon, but you are going to buy based off of more impulse, but also like content and creatives, right? So content is just king on TikTok Shop. Search queries are king on Amazon. Both are very similar. They both deal with fulfillment. They both host their own warehouses, and they have similar strict rules when it comes to shipping. So TikTok Shop is still, in my opinion, a later game. I have made brands off TikTok Shop, just, first try. It's possible. But I do think they're getting more and more strict now with their shipping and dropshipping and whatnot, right? So if you're selling supplements and you're trying to build a community around your product, TikTok Shop is just insane at that. Because you are able to post your own content and run GMV Max. It's an ad type where your content is picked up by TikTok and they push it out automatically. So you don't have to do, how you have to make campaigns and ad sets and everything in Meta. TikTok Shop, if you are putting out good content, and it has to be very different, by the way, we have gotten flagged so many times for reusing the same content. If you are able to put in different content, right? GMV Max, this campaign will pick it all up and just throw it at its people. You have to just set up your target ROI. And it honestly is very good at the start, but we've noticed inconsistency, right? And the more content you add, the more GMV Max has to work with to get you sales, right? And the magic, though, that's not the only part about TikTok Shop that's amazing, is that the magic comes through influencers, the influencer engine, right? You can basically send samples to influencers, whether they be small, medium, and large, or in the millions, and you are able to send them like batches of your product, and they make videos for you. Essentially, that's content. That content, the cool thing is, will be picked up by GMV Max and be pushed out, and they get a commission per sale. So it's a flywheel of content, right? Where it's like you send them the sample, they make content, they make a sale, right? They get a commission, they're happy, they make more content. Keep doing that. And at the same time, GMV Max is pushing out your ads. So it's a very rare time to be on TikTok Shop where it's like you are basically getting content for, I don't want to say free, but just a small like percentage fee, right? And they are more incentivized to make better content because they're getting sales, and you're getting content that you could use on other platforms as well, right? Now, what we have seen is that the influencers that are to the small to medium size, those are the guys that you should be targeting because they have such a niche and a strong fan base that trust them. These larger creators with millions of followers, they make one video and just dip, right? But these small to medium size, they make like 10 videos, right? So the main game here is to bank off of their audiences and make sales. As the way it works is that, you're making sales off their audiences, essentially. So if you're selling, I don't know, like garden items, and you partner with these influencers on the garden niche, well, they're going to make videos about your product, and you're going to make sales off of that audience, right? And again, when these garden influencers make videos promoting the product, a customer buys off TikTok Shop, they get a commission, and we get the sale, right? And the best part is the content that they make, like I mentioned, is picked up by GMV Max and used as ads. So we can download the affiliate content as well and repurpose it all across the sales channels, right? So that is how the creative side works. And that's a strategy. Of course, you're making your own content. You're working with influencers, whatever. There's also deeper strategies. If you guys want me to dig into it, let me know. Where it's like you're sending them briefs. You send the influencers briefs as well. And TikTok Shop, of course, has its own, FBT, which is like Amazon FBA. And you need to worry about, FBT and like all the shipping times. And, you have to like ship out bulk units to FBT. And it takes a while to send from China to America, and then you also have shipping costs, so you have to really calculate your cost of goods. Same thing with Amazon, right? But the thing is, though, when you order in bulk, your cost of goods drops, and the FBT shipping is not that expensive. It's pretty automated. We were literally at this point now, we just order, we forecast, we order a bulk of our units. We send it to FBT. And our agent has to obviously sticker everything up, all the boxes, the way that they want, and then they just fulfill for us as we get orders. So that back end process and that front end process are very, very important. That's how it works. Hopefully that makes sense. Now we're gonna go to Pinterest, and this is the last section, I believe. And Pinterest is interesting. We use Pinterest for some of our brands. The thing is, though, there's a couple of issues with Pinterest. Like, it's hard to find scale on Pinterest, and I'll tell you why, right? So the audience on Pinterest, it's a higher perceived audience obsessed with aesthetics. Majority of them being women are heavy spenders, but again, they are not like, it's still very hard to make sales off Pinterest. I'll tell you why. People use Pinterest, like advertisers, as a great awareness engine to push out their brand and products if they fit the demographic. So furniture, home goods, women's products, they do pretty good on Pinterest. But the important thing is the conversion cycle that nobody talks about on Pinterest. So I've met with some Pinterest agencies and work with them as well. And this is what they say. Dependent on the AOV, like how expensive your product is, and again, remember, people sell pretty expensive stuff on Pinterest. Pinterest reports a usual conversion cycle of a couple of months, right? And why is that? It's because these, people on Pinterest, they're planning out their homes, their lives, their aesthetics for months. So that's why awareness ads are so important to build that aesthetic for your customers until they become warmed up to purchase, right? So it does not have a massive market share like Meta or Google or TikTok, but it's a good small piece of the pie, and Pinterest knows that. The people behind Pinterest know that. And good engagement and awareness is what really Pinterest is used for, especially if you're targeting women. Warm up to them. That's why when people ask about our brands, like, why is your conversion rate so low? Well, we're using Pinterest to really drive awareness and engagement, right? People don't understand that, but that's where I ended off on. Hopefully this makes sense. These are all the platforms that I currently have knowledge on. If there's anything else you guys want to see, let me know, but I really appreciate you guys. Take it easy.